I've been waiting for this air fryer ever since I first saw it all over social media about a year ago. The window, the internal light, and that display on top. It looked like something I'd enjoy using. So when I saw it at London Drugs here in Canada for $90, I grabbed it without even thinking. But after using it consistently over the past couple of weeks, not just cooking in it but living with it day to day, I'm not so sure anymore. Hi, I'm Meme. I test home appliances the way most people actually use them, in real kitchens with real everyday use, not just once but over time. This is the Gourmia 7-quarter Panorama Air Fryer. It's a mid-sized countertop air fryer designed to stand out with a large panoramic window and internal light and that holographic style display on top. It definitely looks good on the counter, but the real questions for me were simple. Does it actually cook well? And how easy is it to live with and maintain day to day? Out of the box, my first impression was that it looks nice, the shape is clean and the design feels modern, but it is bulky. The footprint feels medium at first, but it's a bit misleading. It narrows at the front and widens towards the back, so it looks slimmer than it actually is. And the back does take up more counter space. For reference, it's about 13 inches wide and roughly 17 inches deep, so it does stick out on the counter. If you have shallow counters or limited space between your backsplash and the edge, you'll notice that right away. It's also just under 14 inches tall, which is fine under most cabinets, but it's still worth measuring. Once you look inside, you can see the heating element, and something that caught my attention immediately, there's a cylindrical fan that's separate from the heating element. Normally you'd see the fan blades sitting directly behind the element, so this stood out to me. Because of that layout, it looks like air is circulating more from the back of the unit rather than straight down from the top. Whether that was done to improve airflow or to accommodate the window, it's definitely a different internal design than what you usually see. The 7-quarter basket is deep and more square than round, with a lot of vertical space between the heating element and the food. That spacing helps with airflow, but it can also mean slightly longer cook times. At the back of the basket there are vent cutouts, and the crisper tray has a raised panel that partially covers those vents, which I found a bit unusual. The way it's designed, it looks like airflow is being pushed underneath the food rather than traveling up through the tray towards the top. It's not a layout I've seen often, and it definitely stood out to me. The crisper tray itself is a little awkward at first. To insert it, you need to angle it one side in, lower it gently, then press the other side down. Removing it works the same way. Lift one side first, then angle it out. If you try to force it flat, it feels like it could scratch the basket, which is why those silicone corner tabs really need to stay in place. Once you get the hang of it, the tray is manageable and does get easier with use. The basket and tray have a standard non-stick Teflon style coating, but the bigger issue for me was the basket itself when closing. It's stiff, and if the angle is even slightly off, it just refuses to slide in smoothly. And this isn't a one-time thing, it's something I noticed during everyday use. It weighs just under 14 pounds, and you feel most of that weight towards the back. That's where the display panel, the glass and the heating element and fan are all located. This isn't an air fryer you'll want to move around every day. It's more of a pick a spot and leave it there kind of air fryer. The panoramic window is honestly the first thing people notice about this air fryer, and yes, you really can see your food browning as it cooks. The internal light helps a lot, and I find myself opening the basket far less because I could just look and tell when things were ready. So it's not just there to look nice, it's actually useful. That said, it's not perfect. On the basket there's a plastic panel over the window with a small gap at the top. That gap seems intentional. After washing the basket, I noticed that water and steam can get trapped between these two layers of the window. If you live in areas with hard water, these will definitely leave hard water stains and will likely drive you insane, so letting it air dry isn't enough. What worked for me was running the air fryer empty for about 10 minutes to help dry it out. So far I haven't seen grease trapped, but water, yes. This isn't a defect, it's just something you need to be aware of. Overall, the curved window is genuinely helpful, but that just means more to clean. If this kind of real world testing is helpful, that's what I do here. If you have an air fryer with a window, has it been helpful or more trouble than it's worth? Let me know in the comments. Cleaning is fairly straightforward. I just use a damp cloth to wipe the window, especially after cooking greasy foods, which will splatter onto the glass. So far the window has been easy to clean, though long-term durability is something I'll be keeping an eye on. The basket and crisper tray clean easily with hot water and dish soap. They are dishwasher safe, but I personally prefer hand washing. The display is actually very easy to read when you're standing back. I like that you can see the time and temperature in the holographic display from almost any angle. You don't need to lean over the unit to check how much time is left. This is a top-down control panel, and I say this in every review, top panels tend to collect dust, so they're not my favorite long term. Touch panels look modern and are easy to use, but over time they can become less responsive if moisture or grease builds up, or if you have any oils or residue on your fingers. My bigger issue here is the icons themselves. They're blue on a black background, fairly small, and can be hard to see, especially for some users or in certain lighting. So while the display looks modern and works well, I do wish the icons were larger and easier to read. There are 12 presets in total, 6 cooking presets and 6 food presets. They're easy to use and give you flexibility without feeling overwhelming. Preheat can be turned on or off, which I like because it's not always necessary. Turn food reminders are optional also. They're helpful if you're new to air frying, but I don't personally rely on them. I flip and shake based on how the food looks, not a fixed halfway point. The beeps are soft, and as with all Gourmia air fryers, you can turn most of them off by holding the stop button for about 3 seconds. That leaves only the guided beeps on. You can also switch between Fahrenheit and Celsius by holding the time and temperature button for about 3 seconds. In terms of cooking performance, overall it cooks well, but it definitely has patterns you need to understand. Starting with chicken wings, I fit 13 drumettes in the basket, and you could comfortably fit 15 or 16 with room for airflow. I used the wings preset at 380 degrees Fahrenheit, then bumped it up to 400 degrees Fahrenheit for the last 2 minutes after coating it with some barbecue sauce. The wings came out juicy and tender with good browning. Frozen foods also crisped up well, but they did take a little longer. In some of my other recent air fryer reviews, the temperature goes up to 450 degrees Fahrenheit, which I find helps frozen foods crisp faster by driving off moisture. With this one maxing out at 400 degrees Fahrenheit, I still got a crispy finish, it just took a little longer. Using the fries preset, frozen fries took about 18 minutes. Chicken strips took around 15 minutes on the air fry setting. What I did notice is that airflow feels stronger towards the back of the basket than the front. To get even browning, I had to rotate food from back to front and flip it partway through cooking. So while the airflow design does work, it doesn't completely eliminate hot spots. You still need to rotate the food. Mixed meals worked well because the basket is spacious enough to fit up to 4 chicken thighs and still leave room for vegetables. As long as you keep an eye on timing, it's a good way to get meals done quickly. In some cases, I did need to pull the vegetables out early if the chicken needed a bit more time. I cooked chicken breast and vegetables using the roast mode, and both turned out juicy and tender. Reheat mode is one I use often, especially for pizza. 3 minutes gave me a crisp pizza with no soggy crust. I also use the dehydrate setting to proof dough. It goes as low as 90 degrees Fahrenheit. I ran it for about 15 minutes, then turned it off and let the dough rise, and that actually worked surprisingly well. Now this is important, this air fryer gets hot and you do need to plan for that. Not just at the back, but pretty much all over. After running it for about 20 minutes at 400 degrees Fahrenheit, the glass panel was hot and even the sides were hot to touch. It also releases heat underneath. After long cooks, the counter underneath felt warm as well. There are heat vents around the unit and along the bottom, which explains why heat buildup is more noticeable compared to some other air fryers. This air fryer is a bit on the loud side. Even on dehydrate mode, it runs between 69 and 73 decibels. My husband says it actually reminds him of sitting on a plane before takeoff when the air vents are blasting, that constant heavy airflow sound. There's also a 1-minute cooling cycle after cooking finishes. You don't have to wait for it, but it does run automatically. This air fryer is rated at 1500 watts. On my power meter, the highest draw I saw was about 1409 watts. A 20-minute cook at 400 degrees Fahrenheit costs roughly 4 cents. One feature I really liked is that during preheat it shows the live temperature climbing. That's something I haven't seen on other air fryers, and it's genuinely useful compared to the vague progress lines or dashes that you usually see. These are the things that could put some people off. It's loud, the basket can be frustrating to close, and the window needs extra attention. This would be a good fit if you like the idea of a window and internal light, and you want a decent size air fryer at a reasonable price. It makes sense if you're okay with a few quirks and don't mind a louder machine. I'd skip it if you want something quiet or if you have hand or grip issues, because the basket could get frustrating. I don't regret using it, but it's not one I'd recommend to everyone. If you enjoy seeing your food cook and don't mind a bit of hands-on adjustment, this can work just fine. If you want an air fryer that feels effortless and fades into the background, there are easier ones to live with. Alright guys, if this review helped you, feel free to give it a like. And if you're new here and this kind of real-world testing is useful, you might want to subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.